Hello, everyone. So today we will talk about Swanky. So it's our all-in-one toolbox for smart contracts. Why do we want to build this in the first place? Is because when you want to build a DApp with ink and want to streamline your process, there is a lot of tool already available. So you have a cargo contract, you have type chain, you have all the Rust tool chain that you need to install in different channels. So it's not really handy for first people that try to build an app. So we try to compile everything into a CLI app that we call Swanky. So I'm Pierre Ossun. Everything is Pierre Ossun with me, GitHub, Twitter, and Telegram. So reach out to me if you have any question. So first thing is, what is Swanky? So there is two parts. The first part is Swanky node. So this node target Astar development. It's a lightweight substrate node with palette contracts and other palette that is used in palette contract. We tweak the consensus, and we added manual seal. So basically, it produces a block at every time there's a transaction that goes into queue. So it's really, really fast. But they had some issue with that. Is that when UI tester wanted to try the DApp on a pretty much testing, all the transactions were made so fast they could not get the feeling of the loading time. So we added delayed finalized. So you basically choose a time, for example 1 second, and then it create and finalize the block every 1 second. You can also manipulate user balances. Of course, it can preserve storage between runs, but you can also use --dev, and it will start purge the storage and start a clean storage. And you can also forward, so going back in the past, providing a certain block height, or to revert a certain block, like the state transition of this block. And of course, the CLI that we will take some time to explain today. So the backend is just a Node.js with TypeScript and using Oakleaf CLI framework. It's of course available in npm and as a standalone on GitHub. We created a modular architecture to make it really easy to extend, and each command run in isolation, so it's really easy to add a new command. And we added also a pre-built Docker image and a dev container for Visual Studio Code, so you can really instant set up a dev environment. So let's have a look at the different commands of the CLI. So the first one is initiate a project. And so the command is swanky init and the name of your project. It will create a new folder. And then it will first ask you which template do you want to use. So we have 3 templates for now. So a blank template, a flipper template, and a PSP22 template. Then it asks the name, your email, because it will appear in the cargo.toml of your contract. Then it asks you if you want to download a Swanky node. So if you say yes, then it will be really easy because it will download it, and then you can run it directly with a Swanky node start, and you will have a node to deploy your contract and to run your test on. After your project has been successfully initialized, you can run a cargo check. So this cargo check has two I would say, usage. First usage is to ensure that your local dev environment is properly set, that you have, of course, Rust, that you have cargo contract and all its dependency. And it will also print out all your versions. So the second usage is that if you have an issue in ink, if you have an issue in cargo contract or in Swanky, you just run cargo check, and then you add it to your issue in Stack Exchange or in GitHub, and then it will help a developer to know actually on which version, which dependency, and which machine, which OS you are in. So it will help debugging. Also, we added an account management system. So you can create a development account as it's in the top. So it asks you if it's a dev-environment, you add mnemonic and alias, and then it will add it. But it also manages production account that it will be used to deploy your smart contract. Of course, your seed phrase will be encrypted via password, and every time you will be used this production account, you will have to use your password. Most important one is Swanky contract. Of course, we integrate it directly to Swanky, and you can use it with Swanky contract and then the command of cargo contract you want to use. Cargo contract is maintained and developed by Parity, and it's used mainly to compile your contract, but also like it has, of course, you can run all the commands of cargo contract, and please check their docs if you want to know more about it. Then we have Swanky explain. So when you compile a contract, you got so the WASM blob, but you also got a metadata.json that will help front end to actually interact with the contract. But this one targets UI, and it's not really human readable. So with this one, we basically read the metadata and print a human readable version of your metadata. Pretty handy. Then when you work on a DApp, you will also add tests. So right now for Ink, there is two types of tests. You have the Ink end-to-end test that is a framework directly used in Ink, where you can write tests in Rust directly. And you have a second type of test that is type chain test, and you use framework like Mocha and Chai to run your test. And usually projects do both of them. What is interesting with TypeScript test is that if you have a team that is building the contract, so mainly Rust developer, and you have a team that is working more on the front end, it will really help the front end team to understand the flow of the contract and how to interact with it, because your test will be written in TypeScript, so it will be easier for them to understand. We added also a way to convert a non-Swanky project to a Swanky project, and it works with every type of project. For example, some projects just have one contract or several contract plus crate, library crates within workspace. And so that's why the Swanky asks you some question, and you need to put the path of the contracts and the crate directory manually. Then you will get all the file that Swanky will copy, and then you can check or uncheck the file that you want to copy. Then, of course, ask you if you want to download Swanky node, and then your project will be converted to Swanky. So there's 3 ways to use Swanky. So the first one, and right now I think the most common, is to use it as an NPM package, and you can install it globally using npm install-g. Second option is as a dev container, so you need Visual Studio Code, and then it comes with a pre-built Docker image where you have inside all the dependency needed, so Rust, cargo contract, and so on. So you don't need to first take some time to install all dependency on your machine. You just open this as a Visual Studio extension, and then you are ready to hack. The last one, and the most easy one, is as cloud development. So GitHub offer GitHub code space. So basically, you go to Swanky CLI repository, you click on use this repo and open in a code space. Then it takes 1 minute or 2 to download and basically install all dependency of the container. And then within your browser, you will have an IDE, and you can run every Swanky command inside. If you are a parachain that has a palette contract, meaning that it's compatible with Swanky, it's really handy to have this, because when you go to a hackathon or when you have a presentation and you want the crowd to code with you, with this, basically, everybody can have like start hacking on their machine without having to spend a lot of time installing the dev environment. So this is what we use now every time we have a workshop. Last thing, as I said, every command is built in isolation. And if you have a palette contract in your parachain and you have a specific use case that is not shared with other parachain, you can create plugins for your specific use case. And we had Fala Network that create a plugin for Swanky that target their fat contracts. So basically, they created new commands added as plugin. And the users that want to use Swanky, they download Swanky, they install their plugins, and then they can use Swanky with their fat contract. So this message for every parachain that wants or plan to have palette contracts. We are open for contributor. And also, if you have a specific use case, you can also add it to Swanky. So my last word, Swanky it up. Try it, use it, give feedback, and contribute. I think we try to separate the Astar brand to Swanky brand, because we want Swanky to be like ink, to be used in every parachain as a all-in-one toolbox to build your ink app. Thank you.